Welcome back to the Behavior Code. I'm Maria.
And I'm Gabriel. And today we're diving into something a little heavy but so important.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking about respect, specifically why people slowly stop respecting you. And I want to start with this idea. Respect is not lost overnight. It's not like one big event happens and suddenly, boom, it's gone.
No, it's death by a thousand cuts. It's eroded in these tiny, almost invisible ways, day after day, interaction after interaction. You don't get a memo that says your respectometer's down 10% today. It just happens under the surface of your daily life.
Exactly. And I think everyone listening has probably felt this. Think about it for a second. Have you ever felt that shift in a relationship? It could be with a coworker, a friend, even a family member, where you felt like you used to have their full respect and now something's off. It's just not quite there anymore.
And you can't point to a single reason why.
Right. There's no big fight to reference, just this lingering feeling that the dynamic has changed. That's what we're unpacking today. The subtle behaviors, often our own behaviors, that cause that respect to slowly fade away.
And more importantly, how to get it back. So let's start with what I think is the foundational mistake most of us make. I call it the illusion of respect.
Ooh, okay, unpack that. The illusion of respect.
It's when you fundamentally confuse being liked with being respected.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah. We are so socially conditioned, especially, I think, women, to want to be liked, to be seen as nice, agreeable, helpful.
Everyone is. It's a survival instinct. But the strategies for being liked are often in direct opposition to the strategies for being respected. Being liked is about minimizing friction. It's about being easygoing, accommodating, saying yes. And that's the trap. We think that if people like us, they must respect us. But it's a false equivalency. Liking is a feeling, an emotional response. Respect is an assessment of your character, your competence, and your consistency.
Don't rock the boat.
Exactly. But respect is earned through integrity, through holding your ground, through sometimes being the friction when a principle is at stake. You can be liked by everyone and respected by no one.
Wow. Say that again. You can be liked by everyone and respected by no one. That really lands. So what are some of the early warning signs when you're in that liked zone, but you're losing the respect battle?
Well, the signs are subtle at first. People start interrupting you more often. Not maliciously necessarily, but they just sort of talk over you as you're finishing a sentence.
Yeah, okay, I've seen that.
Another one is your opinions get glossed over. You'll say something in a meeting and it's met with silence. Then, 5 minutes later, someone else says the exact same thing and suddenly it's a brilliant idea.
The worst.
And maybe the biggest one, your time isn't treated as valuable. People show up late to meet you without apology. They ask for just 5 minutes that turns into 30. They expect you to drop everything for their emergency. It's what's known as idea theft. And it happens when people don't associate you with authority. Your ideas are free to take because you haven't established a strong presence. People with high respect command attention, and their ideas are automatically given more weight.
Yes, that's the one. It's that feeling of being porous, like your own plans and priorities are seen as completely flexible and secondary to everyone else's. That's a huge sign that you're just seen as nice and accommodating, not necessarily as someone whose time is, important.
And each time you allow it to happen, you are casting a vote for that identity. You're teaching them that's who you are. Another subtle sign is that people stop asking for your input on important decisions. They'll make plans that directly affect you but only inform you after the fact. It's as if your perspective is considered an afterthought, not a necessary part of the process.
That flows perfectly into our next big topic, which is this idea of overgiving and people-pleasing. They're kind of the engine room for this whole problem, aren't they?
They are the engine because they come from a good place. You want to help. You want to be a good friend, a good colleague. But there's a principle in psychology and even in economics called the scarcity principle.
Things that are rare are more valuable.
Precisely. when your yes is always available, when your help is a given, when your energy is on tap for whoever asks, it loses its perceived value. It's not scarce, it's just there.
It's like if a restaurant gave away free breadsticks with every single meal. You'd never think, wow, what a treat. You just expect it, it's part of the furniture. But if they only gave them to special guests, then it would feel valuable.
That is a perfect analogy. The people pleaser turns their time, energy, and agreement into free breadsticks. You stop being a person they need to earn favor with, and you become a utility, a resource to be used.
Oof, a utility, that's harsh, but accurate. And it's so easy to fall into that trap, thinking you're being indispensable. You think, they need me. I'm the one who can solve this. This little savior complex thing.
Right. But what actually happens is people stop seeing you as a peer with your own needs, and they start seeing you as a tool for meeting their needs. And you don't respect a hammer, you just use it.
And that's where boundaries come in. Or I guess where they should come in?
This is the mechanism. If people-pleasing is the engine, lack of boundaries is the broken fence that lets everyone trample all over your yard. People think boundaries are about being mean or shutting people out.
Totally, like you're building a wall.
But they're not. A boundary isn't a wall, it's an instruction manual. It's a clear, kind message that says, here is how to interact with me successfully. Here is where my property line begins. It's a sign of self-respect.
So when you don't have them, what message are you sending?
You're sending the message that you have no property line, that your time, your energy, your emotional well-being are all public land. And what happens to public land? People don't take care of it as well as they take care of their own.
That's so true. And I think what's even worse than having no boundaries is having inconsistent ones.
Oh, far worse, because it trains people to push. If your no sometimes means maybe if you ask again in a different way, then you're teaching people to ignore your no the first time.
Right. It's like if I say, please don't call me about work after 6 p.m., but then on Tuesday I answer a call at 7 because it's an emergency, and on Thursday I reply to a text at 9. What is the actual rule?
The rule is that there is no rule. The rule is that my boundaries are negotiable. The rule is that your persistence is more powerful than my conviction. And that is the very definition of a lack of self-worth that others can't help but notice.
Okay, this next one, I am so guilty of this. So guilty. Over-explaining.
Yes, the jade habit. Justify, argue, defend, explain.
Yes, I say no to something, and then I immediately feel this overwhelming compulsion to write a 5-paragraph essay detailing all the very legitimate reasons for my no. I can't on Saturday because I have to take my dog to the vet at 10, and then I have this family thing that I promised I'd go to, and also I'm a little behind on laundry.
And what you're doing subconsciously is you are seeking their approval for your decision. You're handing them your reasoning and asking, is this a good enough reason for you? Will you please validate my no?
Oh my God, you're giving them the power to judge your reasons.
Exactly. You're inviting them to problem solve for you. Oh, the vet is at 10? Well, this thing isn't until 3. You can still make it. You've turned your clear no into a negotiation.
And it just screams a lack of confidence. Like my own decision isn't enough. It has to be rubber stamped by the person I'm saying no to.
It does. Think about the most respected people you know. When they can't do something, what do they say?
They just say, I'm sorry, I can't make that work. Or, unfortunately, I'm not available.
And the story. The explanation is implied. They have other priorities. They don't feel the need to prove the validity of those priorities to you. The decision is made, and their calm confidence in it commands respect.
No is a complete sentence. I've heard that a million times, but it's so hard to put into practice.
It is, but every time you over-explain, you chip away at your own authority. And that lack of authority can manifest as another major respect killer, which is inconsistency.
So this is different from inconsistent boundaries, right? This is broader.
Much broader. This is about your word, about your follow-through, about your express values. Respect is built on a foundation of trust, and trust is built on predictability.
So you're talking about the person who says, I'll send you that email this afternoon, and then it doesn't arrive for 3 days or never?
Yes, or the person who says, family is my number one priority, but they're consistently staying at the office until 10 p.m. Or the person who says they value honesty, but you catch them in little white lies.
Right, there's a mismatch between what they say and what they do.
A huge mismatch, and that makes them fundamentally unreliable. You don't know if their word means anything. You don't know if their principles are real or just decorative. How can you respect someone you can't trust to be who they say they are?
You can't. You really can't. It makes you feel like you're standing on shaky ground with them all the time.
And people instinctively back away from shaky ground. They might still like you, but they won't rely on you for anything important. They won't see you as credible, and credibility is a cornerstone of respect.
It seems like so many of these things we're talking about, the people pleasing, the lack of boundaries, the inconsistency, it feels like they all have a common ancestor, a single root cause.
And what would you say that is?
A fear of conflict, a deep, deep discomfort with any kind of conflict, no matter how small.
100%. We are wired to avoid conflict because historically, conflict was dangerous. But in the modern world, avoiding necessary healthy conflict is even more dangerous to our social standing.
Because it's uncomfortable to say, hey, I can't stay late tonight. It's uncomfortable to say, please don't speak to me in that tone. It's uncomfortable to say, you committed to this deadline and you missed it. So we just don't.
We don't. We swallow it. We tell ourselves it's not a big deal, or I'll just work faster to make up for it, or they're probably just having a bad day. We absorb the impact to keep the peace.
But what message does that send over time?
It sends the message that my comfort is more important than my own standards, that not rocking the boat is a higher value than fairness or accountability or even my own well-being.
And people don't respect someone who won't stand up for themselves. It's a paradox, isn't it? By trying so hard to keep everyone happy and avoid conflict, you end up creating a situation where nobody truly respects you.
It's the ultimate paradox. People respect strength, and strength isn't about being aggressive or loud. It's about having the quiet courage to handle necessary confrontations, to be the captain who can navigate the waves, not the one who hides in the cabin hoping the storm will pass.
And when you hide in that cabin, when you let things slide because you're afraid of the conflict, you start, and this is our next point, you start tolerating disrespect.
This is the final stage, really. This is where the erosion becomes visible decay. It starts small.
Always small. It's a sarcastic comment disguised as a joke. It's a backhanded compliment. It's being 5 minutes late, then 10, then 20.
It's someone checking their phone while you're pouring your heart out to them. Each one is a tiny paper cut, and in the moment, it feels easier to just ignore it, to laugh it off, to say, no problem.
Because calling it out feels dramatic. You think, am I overreacting? It's not a big deal.
But there's a powerful psychological concept here. You teach people how to treat you. With every interaction, you are giving a lesson. When you let a small act of disrespect slide, the lesson is, this is acceptable. This is the standard of behavior I'm willing to tolerate.
And people are very quick learners in that department. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
They will. It's the broken windows theory of respect. An abandoned building with one broken window will soon have all its windows broken. But one that's maintained, where the first broken window is immediately repaired, it sends a message. Someone's watching. Someone cares about this place.
You have to be the custodian of your own respect. You have to fix the first broken window.
You do. Gently, calmly, but firmly. Hey, I know you're probably just joking, but that kind of comment stings. Or, I'm happy to wait, but my time is really tight today, so I can only give you 10 minutes now. It's not a fight, it's a recalibration. You're simply showing them the instruction manual.
Okay, so we've laid out a pretty bleak landscape of all the ways we sabotage ourselves. For everyone listening who's just nodding along, maybe feeling a little called out, a little uncomfortable, what's the way back? How do we rebuild respect once it's been eroded?
The good news is, it's entirely possible, but it requires conscious effort. The first step is to start small. Don't try to change everything at once. Pick one thing.
Okay, like what?
Pick one boundary. For 1 week, your goal is to not work past 6 p.m. Or your goal is to not answer non-emergency texts within a minute. Just one small, clear rule, and you hold it, no exceptions. This builds the muscle of consistency for yourself.
I like that. Start small. What's next?
Practice the concise no. The next time you have to decline something, say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that. And then stop talking. Endure the silence. Don't fill it with explanations. Let your no stand on its own. It will feel terrifying at first, and then it will feel incredibly powerful.
Okay, so set one boundary and practice a clean no. What else?
Change your language. Purge the weak, uncertain phrases. Instead of, I kind of think maybe we should, say, my perspective is, or I recommend we do this. Instead of, I'm sorry to bother you, say, is now a good time? Own your presence and your opinions. Speak with quiet conviction.
And I'll add one more, which is maybe the most important. Keep the promises you make to yourself. If you tell yourself you're going to wake up and go for a walk, do it. If you promise yourself you'll read a chapter of a book, do it. Rebuilding external respect has to start with rebuilding internal self-respect. You have to prove to yourself that your word is bond.
That's the foundation for everything, Maria. It all comes from there.
It really does, which I think brings us to our final takeaway for today. When you look at all these behaviors, the people-pleasing, the over-explaining, the fear of conflict, they are all external actions driven by an internal feeling, a feeling of not being enough.
That's the core of it. We people please because we fear our authentic self won't be liked. We over-explain because we fear our decisions aren't valid on their own. We avoid conflict because we fear we aren't strong enough to handle it.
So the ultimate path to being respected by others is to cultivate a deep and unwavering respect for yourself, to believe that you are enough, that your time is valuable, that your voice deserves to be heard, that your no requires no committee approval.
The world, for the most part, will accept the price you put on yourself. If you treat yourself as valuable, others will follow suit. Respect is an inside job first. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for tuning in to the Behavior Code.
You can find us on all the usual social media platforms to continue the conversation. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the hidden patterns that drive our lives. Until then, be kind, but first, be kind to yourself.